also tell people that I'm the best at bragging and that I'm very fucking humble.
Well, I'm glad.
Now, we're recording, bro?
I
Just started. Did you get that?
Like 10 seconds ago.
10 seconds. That's fantastic. I'm happy with that. Do we need a zero segment, Misty? Do you want a zero? Do you want a zero segment? Oh, I think we're already in the zero segment, right?
Yeah, okay.
We're already in the zero segment. JBL have a very interesting device. It's a boom box with 2 microphones that allows you volume control within the Spotify volume control. Very cool.
It's very good.
The neighbours are very well aware of what music that we are into, and it's a contrast between 80s and heavy metal.
That's right.
That's going to be a hoot. I'm really excited about that.
It was nice to have a little bit of a stint singing our lungs out there for the neighbourhood.
Yeah.
They'll get to know just how much we enjoy karaoke.
And the lack of shame that we have.
The lack of shame that you have.
I cannot. I just like to sing.
No, my fears overcome me halfway through, and I'm like, oh my God, they can hear us. They can hear us. I can't handle it.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't even, like... If that enters my mind, I'm like, great, an audience. They're listening.
But you're amazing. You're amazing to be able to do that. I can't do that.
Yeah. I like it. I don't mind it.
Yeah. But I'll join back in at the end. Final songs. I'm always up for the final.
No, definitely. But yeah, I just mic control. I think when you put a microphone in someone's hands, because we all sing in the shower, right? We'll sing at shower singers, or the car is another good place to sing. And when you've got a microphone in your hands, it's very different. It's a very different. You become more of an amplified instrument with a microphone, and more things can be achieved with smaller amounts of effort, and you can then bend that effort, which is usually got more gusto. So if you can already project, you can generally do pretty good with a microphone, I find. Love working with mics.
But it is very much about mic placement. You're very right.
Oh yeah,
and
totally.
You can't be shy.
No, you can't.
You've got to not be shy about it.
You got to get in there.
Yes, I've learned that from you.
And risk breaking up. Like you got to, sometimes when you're holding a note, you break. You break the note and it crackles and it's all horrible.
Yes.
It's a bomb. Yeah, your engine failure. You're fucking bombing, man. It's fucking great.
It's my biggest fear. I've never done karaoke.
Oh, in public?
Never done karaoke in public. Yeah.
Because I've done heaps of karaoke with you.
At home.
Yes.
Behind the lounge chair.
Yeah.
With YouTube on.
Yeah, totally. We've had parties and done karaoke. I got my friends involved.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but shit. I'm terrible at it. I'm like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, well, that's part of it though. Part of karaoke is losing yourself and finding yourself in the same moment. Because you lose yourself, and then by losing yourself, you tend to find yourself. So you got to lose yourself in the moment, man. That's karaoke. It's all in that moment. And your emotional connection. You're going to find some emotional connection.
To the song or to the audience?
Both. Both. If you can get an emotional connection with the audience, then you're totally winning. I've done that in karaoke before, where you've turned a whole crowd your way. But I've done karaoke the other way, where I've turned the crowd against me. It's fucking happened just as much as the other.
Well, they all booed you.
No, not booed, but... surprised. Like I can take a song and turn it into metal really quick.
Oh yeah, okay. Right.
Or I change the words. I change the words in songs, and that annoys people. Yeah. Because I'm very good at changing the words in songs. So I can take the mickey a little bit.
Yeah, fair enough.
Certain music. Yeah, I don't want to go too deep into that because I'll be letting my tricks out of the bag, sharing my repertoire of fucktardery.
Karaoke tricks.
Karaoke trickster. Well, I think we've had our zero segment. Are you ready to kick off?
Sure.
Ready?
Yes.
Ready to hit it? All right, Mr. Wade Maestro. Let's do it. And welcome to the Pagey Train. Today in the studio with me, Misty McPhail, author, PhD student, festival manager, general manager, volunteer manager, just a manager in general. The vivacious, very beautiful, the woman with fantastic hair, Misty McPhail. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello, thanks for having me.
What an intro. Yeah. But it's been a while since you've been on the show. I think this is like your third or fourth appearance. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, sometime at the end of last year, I think was the last time you saw me, just before Made in the West, maybe?
Yeah, post-COVID podcasting.
Yeah.
Post-COVID podcasting.
Yeah, we were a little worried there that
PPP.
I was going to be your permanent guest for the entire year.
Yeah, that's what all the comments said.
Yeah.
What's Ross going to do now?
It's Misty every week.
Just Misty every week. But thank God for Zoom, because Zoom got me through 6 episodes, 6 weeks of lockdown, 6 episodes, and then I got we'll be able to figure out how to get a guest safely and legally back into the studio. But yeah, so you did one before that and one after that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But we've been pretty quiet on the Made in the West front this year so far. We've been, hatching a few things behind the scenes.
Promotionally, we've been quiet, but it hasn't been quiet for Made in the West.
No,
it's never quiet. We can't take a moment to breathe.
We're always working on something. And when we're not, we're wondering what we could be working on.
Yeah, well, COVID did that, didn't it? So we did 3 years of work last year. So
That's a nice way of putting it.
We did, though.
We did feel very busy, but we took away travel. We didn't have to drive anywhere or
That's true.
worry about bump-ins. So
Fuckload more time. But less money, more time. But I don't know. Like we did expand last year. We expanded into the online film festival. The online film festival. We were projecting to launch that in 2023.
Yeah.
We've launched it 3 years earlier. Launched 2020. It's now a running thing. We've got the architecture there. It's certainly going to be happening this year. There's other expansions that happen. Maybe the dual cinemas. It's still open, and it's not totally confirmed that we're doing the dual cinema this year with the marathon, but it may be. We don't know.
Yeah.
So a lot of expansion things happen, but I think that gave us a bit of a bug this year because we realised you give us a little bit of time, we get a fucking lot of shit done. I think I said that almost with Tourette's, like a fucking lot of shit done.
It's a bit like it's a catalyst, right? It certainly lit a fire under us. So I think we were a bit panicked that maybe everything would disappear and we'd lose it all. So we kind of doubled down and tried to do everything, and then in the end we ended up with all of it. So.
Oh, well, we've got an important. It's an important year though for us this year, and we wanted to do a few things to celebrate.
Yeah.
Why is it an important year for us this year?
Well, it's our 10th birthday this year. Yeah, which we're very excited about. It's my 6th year with the festival, but your 10th altogether.
My 10th, yes.
Festival's been running since 2012, and we're trying to find ways to celebrate that this year. And
it's been running. The last 6 years has been a very well-oiled machine. In the last 6 years, I don't know about the first 4 years, but certainly the last 6 years have been a well-oiled machine.
I think I may have been needed.
Oh, look, it just expanded.
Let's imagine for a second what Made in the West would have looked like if I'd never come on.
I don't think it would still be going. I think I would have quit if it wasn't for the team around me.
That's probably very true.
I don't think I could have carried on. It was just expanding too much. It's not. There's only so much one person can do.
I remember that you were pulled in many different directions at the time.
Just doing everything.
Trying to host, trying to make sure the
admin,
highlights reel got done.
The technical officer, produce, direct, curate, do all of the promoter, everything.
Well, hopefully it's been nice having us on.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have got this far without without the Made in the West crew, without the SSP team. There's just no way. It's just not possible. Big shout out to J-Man.
Totally, J-Man and Nat and Casey, Tess for her part, and Emily now as well.
Yeah, Blemily.
Yes.
As we actually call her. Thank you. Big shout out.
Yeah. No, it's been really nice this year looking back on 10 years of Made in the West and where it started, where it came from, and what we stand for, and trying to pull together a nice party this year is a good challenge.
Yeah, but okay. Well, just to really cut to the chase, I remember wanting to go on a podcast and talk about my resume with Made in the West, or just SSP in general. So the podcast host goes, "Hey, welcome to the show. I've got Ross in the studio," and then they can go, director, writer, vocalist, podcaster,
yes,
event, festival artistic director, festival founder, voiceover artist, Foley artist, and actor. Welcome to the show. I go, and I would like to say at that point, well, you left out magazine. Yeah. All right, this is an old joke. This is an old joke. So, what can we talk about this? Can we talk about our magazine?
Well, yes. So
why do we have a magazine? What is it? What is this magazine that I've started talking about?
Well, it's an anniversary yearbook, really, a magazine celebrating 10 years of Made in the West. It talks about our foundations, where we started, takes us along the journey of our history, and spotlights a few of the filmmakers and all of the people that have been involved in the community over recent years. So we're excited about that, right? So we'll be launching a new collector's edition magazine in November, come close time to the festival, and it should be really exciting to see it in action.
Yeah, so the magazine has all the past winners, has a story on them, has a dossier on the festival itself, a historical layout from each venue that we've ever been to. Mm-hmm. And an affirmation and an attachment and an emotion attached to that. I think one of the most powerful things in that magazine for me is the manifesto. So you guys got to check out this magazine, read the manifesto. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But the magazine itself is awesome. I think we're up to the what are we up to? The very final draft. We've almost locked the magazine now.
Oh yeah, it's going to be done within a week. Yeah. So we're definitely down to the final, proofread and all. So it's really exciting. And of course, the bit that I'm the most excited about. I'm excited about first of all, we've been working with WSU students on this project, right? We've been working with the Rabbit Hole.
Big shout out to the Rabbit Hole.
We love the Rabbit Hole. We met them last year during COVID, and we were working with them online for our poster competition, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember last year when we were talking about you and your, wish for a magazine to have, in addition to
it was just a comical joke, yeah. It was just a joke, yeah.
And all those other things that you wanted to
I thought it'd be cool to have a magazine. That's basically it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at the time we were looking for something to do to work with the Rabbit Hole and find another project to work on.
I just can't believe it come up. I just can't believe that we're in this position where you, basically you're a chief editor on a magazine.
I am a chief editor of this magazine. It's fantastic. And it's such a great experience being able to go through it all.
Yeah. Now, I'm sort of a creative on the magazine, but I'm not drawing anything. I'm not writing anything. I'm just sort of, helped design it, I guess.
Yeah, and Jay and Emily have been editors on it too.
Yeah. So
there's a huge. I love our list of contributors in the back. 120 people or something have contributed to Made in the West over the years, and it was just really nice to be able to go through all of those people and all of those contributions that were made over time. But anyways, what I was going to say was the bit that I'm most excited about, of course, is the mind-blowing extras that are coming along with this.
What do you
magazine.
mean extras? Tell me about the extras. I'm chomping at the bit, Misty.
Well, I would like, how much am I allowed to say? Well,
the whole lot.
So we posed a challenge to the Rabbit Hole this year, right? So we posed a challenge to them that we would like to make a magazine. As you know, we wanted to make a print collector's edition. It's amazing. It is a very good layout. Fantastically drawn. The graphic designers there are so great to work with. They've totally put the essence of the festival into the designs of the magazine. But of course, we posed them the extra challenge. We said, look, we want to have a print collector's edition. We'd like to have a digital magazine that we can share and share around. Which is turning out to be the hardest part of it all, is the digital magazine. Yes, but the additional fun layer is that we would like it to be augmented reality. Augmented reality. Yeah. Explain what is augmented reality? Well, when it first started, I was like, can we get Ross climbing out of the page? I want to see Ross. Sounds like a lot of work. Absolutely, climbing up on with a loudspeaker, announcing the festival manifesto to everybody. But no, we couldn't do that. No, it's we could have. It's just a lot of work. It's an additional layer to the way that you can experience this magazine, right? So it works kind of like Snapchat. You scan the app, you pull it up on your phone, and as you look at the magazine and you're holding it in front of you, it comes to life. Things will fly off the page. You can watch aspects of our content that's in there, 3D modeling and animations. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So another way to describe it is a living, breathing magazine. Yeah. So it's alive. The magazine comes alive with an app. Yeah, no, it's been great and such a wonderful thing for us to explore and trial, with the students. And they have just, as I say, they've just done an amazing job. They've blown it out the park. Well, again, I thought they were going to say no. Like, I just, during this whole process of making a magazine, going into this with the ideas the original idea of wanting the magazine to start with, then the idea of tying it in with, we got 10 years coming up. It's a yearbook magazine. Yep. It's a history book in a magazine format. All these ideas are really cool.
But getting the layout, the almanac, the contributors list, the photo,
All the interviews with the
all the spotlight interviews, all of these aspects of this magazine, everything along the way. I just thought people were going to say no.
yeah.
Like I didn't. This started off as a joke in a pub, right? That's now turned into, there's a team of 12 designers working on it. There is a chief designer at the other end of that. We've got a chief editor, 3 editors. How many interviews have we done?
We have a new augmented reality app.
Yeah, and then we've had to design an app.
We're designing an app
to augment reality on top of the magazine.
It's great.
But that was the other thing. Like, 'cause, I've done content for the Rabbit Hole like years and years and years ago, and they did an augmented reality showing. So they would have all these pictures on the wall, and you hover a phone over it. I've gone, these guys can do this augmented reality stuff. How hard can it be? Turns out it's really hard.
Turns out it's harder than we thought.
Way harder than we thought. But with that said, the augmented reality app is there, and we've done some testing. How's the testing for Made in the West magazine going?
Yeah, well, it's been really great. We can't wait to we're going to release a couple of behind the scenes videos soon, looking at what the students have been doing with the content, how they've been creating the 3D models behind the scenes, and it's looking really great. Looking really great.
Does it cost it? It doesn't cost anything for this app, right? You can just get the app.
No, it's free it's free for users. Yes.
But you got to buy the magazine.
Yes,
You got to buy the magazine, but the app's free.
You scan the image and it pops up with the app option. You sign up and you can view the magazine in full augmented reality.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, again though, I just thought people would say no. You go up to someone and go, "Can you design me a magazine?" No. Can you give me like 8 parts to this magazine? No.
Yeah.
You can,
Can you just write 24 pages about us?
Yeah. Can we just do all these interviews with all these people, all these artists, and collate it together? No. Can you design the whole thing and make it an augmented reality? No. I just didn't expect any of that to be said yes, and all of it has been yes. Yeah. It's all been an opportunity, and I don't know. Some of it's been an opportunity, but we were prepped for that opportunity. I just didn't know. Like, I knew it was going to be some work, and I knew different aspects of all of us were going to contribute to editing this magazine. But I didn't even understand the complexities of releasing this magazine, which is another mountain that we've got to climb in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
It's not just about building the content, you've got to release the content.
Yeah.
And we're just so used to having these networks and platforms where we release content. We just go, you just build it and then you release it, right? How hard can it be?
Yeah.
But a magazine's a bit different. There's different mechanics to it, especially it being a physical document, a physical hard copy thing.
And we've never worked in this medium before.
No,
really.
no.
Yeah. I mean, we do get things printed, but we haven't made a magazine before, and we certainly haven't made a digital magazine before.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
And we certainly haven't made a digital augmented reality magazine before.
We've never had our own app before either. So
yeah,
But 2020 was the year of being bold and asking for the things that we wanted, and it turns out that when you do ask, and if you've got a good plan, then you might just get what you want.
Yeah, but I just think it's looking at the final drafts of this magazine as well.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited for everyone involved. You speak of contributors, and you speak of the people that have been involved in Made in the West over so many years, and it's got all the we've found out all the stats. It's been like, how many films have been on screen? Like 350.
Oh, I think it's like 245
240
that we've screened, but something like 390 have been submitted.
Yeah, about 400 films have been submitted to Made in the West. And we've played how many hours? So many hours on screen, and
I want to say it's like 22.5 hours.
We've had 2,500 people go to the festival.
I don't know the stats off the top of my head.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like
2,500 people attending
the festival, and then you look at and then you extrapolate all of the advertisement out of that, all the promotions that we do, and you realise that there's a massive reach out there for it, and it's this pretty substantial thing that's happened, and it's all been along the guise of that's what I mean. Making this magazine has just made me realise, it made me remember. I just expect to be told no at some point. Like, no, you can't do that. But we do. We just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Because I think it comes from all of our intentions are really positive. We have really positive intent. And I don't know. I think the magazine is just one of those things that it's a cross medium, right? It's that augmented reality allows us to make it digital and alive and film-like. But at the same time, then it's comic book-like in nature, and it's storyboard-like in nature, and it has a narrative arc. It is story in nature.
It's still designed. It's very visual, and it actually pushes. Adding the augmented reality pushes us further into the visual medium than I'm normally in, because of course, there's a lot of copy involved, and there's a lot of writing involved in that, and even just going through in the process of writing out our history was challenging. What do you mention? How did it all come about? Geez, we flew by the seat of our pants for quite a few years there. Who even knows how Made in the West came together?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, well, especially after some of the after parties that we've been to, I don't know how it's come together.
Like, oh, geez,
Yeah, no, but all
of those things did come together, and it was absolutely fascinating to be able to go through those and to see how representing who we are from in text, in graphics, in augmented reality, all the different ways that we've been able to do this. And there really is a film element to it, the storyboarding of what you're looking at, and the pitching of the ideas on how. I even loved how the team was going to work together, because they really riffed off our festival, in that it's a very collaborative approach to the way that we run the festival, and also in the way that it's drawing from the skills and creativity of the community. And I remember right in the beginning, the design team was like, well, we're all going to also work together in that same way to be able to feed off each other's creativity and learn from each other and build upon each other. And I love that. I love that experience was able to come out of this design process.
Well, there's like 18 people working on this magazine.
Yeah.
Just something that started as a cheeky, funny idea. 18 people working on it. We haven't gone to print it yet. Once we print it, there's going to be 22 people working on this magazine. Once we start selling it, there's going to be 60 people working on this magazine.
Well, this year's going to be big, isn't it?
It is.
We're going to have a few people working with us and helping us, bring it to life.
Well, last year on the day we had 30 people working on Made in the West.
Yeah,
where Made in the West used to be 2 people. It used to be 2 people that ran Made in the West. The first couple of years was run by me and Jimmy.
Yep.
If you look at now, shit, man, there's more people in the booth running Made in the West than there is on all the volunteers, the ushers, the MCs, the TV crews, the presenters, the hosts.
Yeah.
The bar staff, the cooks.
Yeah.
The cleaners. There's just so many people that work on this thing. It's just amazing. I think it's going to be a lot bigger this year, and it's going to be bigger the next year. And I think we've got to get prepared to grow. But 10 years. Yeah. 10 years. So
hats off to you for 10 years. I mean,
thank you.
Wonderful celebration for you to see something that you started back in third year uni grow into something that 10 years later is a force to be reckoned with in the Sydney art scene.
Something that started on a projector and a milk crate that's now on a $4 million projector on a VMAX screen is a hell of a journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a hell of a journey.
And I love that we've actually uncovered the photographs of the milk crate.
Oh, God.
And the projector and what that really looked like.
Well, a big shout out to Jay. I think there's an excellent photo that we found of Jay rolling himself up in the red carpet at Made in the West 2.
I know.
Yeah.
And he's such a child, isn't he? So young.
So young. We're all so young. We're all so young. That was 10 years ago. And for us to be with Event Cinemas, big shout out to the Event Cinemas guys. To be with those guys and to have that content going on that big screen after all this time, and the evolution from the Roxy Hotel to the Paddington RSL to now Event Cinemas has just been amazing. Like, Event Cinemas is now our longest running home, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, as of this year, it's our longest running home.
That's right.
And I remember that we were trying to fight for a venue in Western Sydney, and that was now almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah, this will be our 4th year.
4th year there, so.
Event Cinemas.
So yeah, one more year. That's that's half a decade of that fight was so. It didn't feel that long ago.
No, it's still very fresh in our memories. Every year there's a little bit of fear,
a little bit.
Will we be able to come back? Will we be able to do it again?
Yeah, but then we had COVID. Fuck.
That
I remember we were like, there's been, you're talking about 10 years of Made in the West. There's been at least 3 times in my life where I was ready to chuck in the towel. I'm like, nah, that's it. This is too much.
I've seen you hover over the delete button over all of it. All of it. The power of just, I'm getting rid of all of it,
I could just highlight. Yeah, I did. I remember I was talking to Wobbly and I had all of the content highlighted and all I had to do was command delete and it was gone. I can just... I've got it on backup anyway.
Well, I was going to say, nothing's ever lost, but that would have been pretty symbolic.
Yeah, to delete Made in the West. Yeah. No, it's backed up though. I would have backed it up anyway. I'm like, oh no, bring it back. Shit, 6 hours to transfer. Fuck, here we go.
The ultimate Command Z.
Yeah. No, you can't Command Z that shit. That would like the whole machine is built around Made in the West. Like it wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, what's the data size of something like Made
in the West is I think it's currently at 1.2 terabyte.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But that's not all of its content. That's the bare minimum content.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's all the movies that have ever been submitted.
You've gotten rid of all of the stuff that we've shot, but you've just got the.
I've come up with ways to streamline data so that once it's been used, we still have proxy media of it all. Like it's just too big to store. Mainly, it's too big to store as an open data. Like as in raw data, you can't do it. It's too big. We don't have the money and the resources to do that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Never really thought about the size of Made in the West in terms of.
Yeah, I tell you guys every year. I remember I had the size that 1 year it was at 100 gig. So this year's 100 gig of festival.
Yeah.
But then doing DCP, I've managed to shrink that down. But then it's hard to. Data's an interesting one to measure it because it depends on what point in history you're measuring that and what technology you're using.
Really?
So it's a variable yardstick.
I always thought data was this consistent thing that was used across different types of media.
No, because codecs change, programming changes, things become more compressed. Like everything that's on the internet now is what you'd refer to as a H264. It's a H264 codec. When you edit, generally it's in DMX, which is on PC, but if you're on Mac, it will be 422. So Apple ProRes 422, which is the most open you can sort of have. You can have ones that are more open, like 444, or for those Da Vinci people out there with powerful computers doing what you do, shooting on Ursas and going straight into Da Vinci. Oh, one day. Anyway, data is different depending on the scenario. So you can look through Made in the West in its early years as quite data intensive because codecs were different and submission techniques were different too.
Yeah.
So I used to just get raw data off everyone.
Yeah.
So
or remember that time someone rocked up with a DVD?
Oh God.
To the door and we were like, oh yeah, okay.
That was a fucking nightmare to get the DVD onto the hard drive because you can't just record it because copyright is such a problem. You just can't go between mediums that easily. Even when I used to work at a TV station, we found that that's a challenge. Is crossing your mediums, but VLC, mate. VLC is the shit. VLC gets you out. Or what else do we used to use? Compressor. I think I used DVD rip to get that DVD off.
Oh, those are the days.
DVD ripper. Ago. Jack the Ripper, or DVD Ripper, as in Jack the Ripper. It was sort of scheduled as, or advertised as.
Yeah.
But I remember, the DVD. I've had people rock up at the festival on the day with the USB. But I've done the same thing. A big shout out to Andy, actually. He had his film from Afters back in the... Eric.
Years ago?
Years ago.
Very
Eric.
First one.
Yeah, very first one called Eric. And he gave me the content late. And I put it onto a USB and I put it in my jeans pocket. And I totally forgot to put it into the main streamlined content. So it ended up outside the playlist. And I had a dummy in there, like a dummy file. Back then I used to use folders as dummy files. So if I was missing a movie and I knew I had to download it, I'd put a folder in there with its name, and then I'd go, folder. It means it's empty. And then once I got the film, I'd put it in there and delete the folder.
Yeah, like a placeholder.
Yeah. But I didn't have Eric. The folder was still there, and when I went to go and check the list at Made in the West, I was like, I don't have that film. It's at home. I don't have it on the hard drive. I haven't put it into the main...
Not even in your pocket at the festival.
It was in my pocket it was in one of my pockets that I was wearing that I had no idea that it was in there. I didn't deliberately put that movie in my pocket. I think it had even been through the wash. That movie had been through the wash, and I had put it in. Yeah. I told Andy this story, so it's not a big surprise. He knows this story. But yeah, no, I forgot to play his film, and they're like, when are you scheduling that one? It's going at the end. Just transferring it now. Shit. And he gave it to me in like a 422. I think it was like 15 gig bloody movie.
Wow.
Yeah, now I normally get them. They're megabytes now. Usually I get them down to, depending on the scenario. But data's a strange one to go by. But yeah, so generally if you try to keep it to 100 gigs, you're doing it right.
Yeah, right. We've grown in size, definitely. I suppose it depends how many submissions we get.
It's not just the submissions, it's also all of the raw data for the interviews, the promotional material, the graphics, all of our graphics, logos, the whole lot.
Yeah, right.
It's about 1.2 tera.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrifying stuff.
That's what they call it, terabytes.
It's terabytes. Once you get to a terabyte, it's terrifying. Yeah. But that's us for 10 years, man. So when are submissions due? Oh, sorry, submissions are currently open. Yes.
Yeah. We opened for submissions last month, officially.
We're always open.
But technically, we're always open. But
day after the festival, you can submit to the next year.
Maybe not the day after.
People have done it. They've done it. They've been that keen. If we did a festival on November 26th, we've had entries on like December 1st.
Yeah.
Like, yep, I'm in for next year.
No, that's great. Well, yes. So submissions are open now. We're early bird closes end of July.
Soon.
End of July. So we've got
$35, kids.
2 months.
Get in there. We've already got a shitload of submissions, so keep them coming.
Actually, we're doing really well at the moment in comparison to previous years.
We've never had this many submissions this early.
Yeah.
We haven't even advertised.
It's been great.
Except for one.
And then the main round of entries closes mid-October, October 15th, and then there's a couple of weeks for the late
bird
finishing
late
up
bird
at the
$50.
end of October. Yeah. So the whole festival season starts again. In 4 weeks, 8 weeks. We're on the run. We're on the home stretch to festival. We're into planning and figuring out what that looks like and trying to make it as big of a night and as good an experience as possible for the filmmakers involved. Should be huge.
But okay, so when is the festival this year?
Saturday, the 4th of December. Save the date.
Save the date, 4th of December, kids.
Yes.
Saturday night. Be there.
Yeah, no, it should be big. Usual time. We usually kick off about 6 o'clock. Thanks to the free parking on the rooftop at Event Cinemas.
Fucking nice free parking.
And
love
we'll have
free parking.
VIP awards night. We've got some extra awards this year. We usually have 8 individual awards. Best director, editor, cinematographer, actor, actress,
composer,
sound design, composer.
Ooh, had a blowout.
Back to there.
There we go.
But this year we have 2 new awards. We have best production design, which I'm quite excited.
That's a good one because there has been a big rise in production design in the last few years, and it's good that we recognise that.
Yeah, some of the costuming, set design, art department has been fantastic. That and best music video for the first time.
Best music video. Yeah, we do get a lot of music videos.
Yeah, and it's a huge part of emerging filmmakers' work.
And they're really hard to make. And it's hard to. Don't get me wrong. We've judged music videos within the main body content, which is possible when you're looking at it from a technical proficiency point of view. But when you're looking at narrative arcs,
it's hard to compete.
It's hard to compete in that space. Like, don't get me wrong, you can make music videos with a narrative arc. I'm not saying that at all. But you could. The rules are so more open for narrative in music videos.
Yeah.
So it's good that we now recognise that.
Yeah, and it's pretty hard to capture the attention of a judge, one of the judging panel, in full, to win one of the major awards when you're a music video competing against a short film.
Yeah, but shit, man, like that doesn't stop anyone from winning Main the West with a music video.
Runner-up we got years ago. There was a Rowan Pank with runner-up in 2015, I think it was.
Yeah, good on you, Rowan. Big shout-out. I wonder how you're doing lately, bro.
And, So
you're on our mailing list. Check your email. Send us an email. Say good day in the comments.
Yeah, so that'd be really great to celebrate a couple of new individual, category awards.
Yep.
That and the major prizes, of course, the best student film, Best in the West for the independent films and an Audience Choice Award.
The Audience Choice Award.
Yeah, which is always our favourite. I love that we have a live vote on the night and gather everybody's
Done by a QR code. We are COVID safe kids. QR code.
Well, I'm assuming. Well, I don't know. Like, we haven't really spoken about that, but yeah, probably we will stick with the QR code, won't we?
Way easier.
Yeah.
Way easier, way quicker. Well, what's happening on my screen? Did something pop up?
Something did pop up on your screen.
Is it the? Don't tell me it's the Adobe. It's the Adobe, isn't it?
It's always Adobe.
Fucking Adobe.
Adobe Flash Player ruins so many things.
No, I don't want to subscribe. Why do you make it so hard to read a PDF, Adobe? Why? 'Cause you money grubbing bastards. That's why. I reckon if you like, I have Photoshop, which is like $16 a month. Just leave. It's fucking PDF, mate. Like,
yeah.
Why should I unsubscribe all the time?
Well, it used to be that they would constantly be getting you to update it, right? You've got to update. Well, now
So with JavaScript.
you're just getting the please
JavaScript updates.
uninstall me.
JavaScript update.
Yeah,
JavaScript update. Now it's all phone updates now. I do a lot of phone updates.
So many updates.
iOS update. Oh, you don't do iOS.
I'm sick of updates.
You're an Android
I'm
person.
I'm not an iPhone user. I don't like iPhones. Not a fan.
Not a fan of the iPhone.
Not a fan.
But you are a fan of Save the Date. 4th of December. Be there, be there, be there. Made in the West Film Festival.
Yeah.
Submit your film at the moment. You can get in on early bird, $35 and $30 per student. Student is always early bird for a student.
Yeah, we've got the good prizes for them all the way through, because we know that everybody's working on their final project right to the last minute. You know, often student films are submitted in the final few days.
Yes. We definitely have a lot of good synergies with schools, so I'm glad to see that increase. Afters, if you're out there listening, give us a call.
Yeah.
We do have a good connection, but we'd like to make it stronger.
Well, Afters has been working with WSU.
Yes.
And we work with WSU, so it might work.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. There's more synergies there. Can we go into a lot about WSU at the moment? UWS.
Oh, only that we're we'll be working with them on a few projects in the coming 6 months, and into next year. I mean, there's some pretty exciting things on our radar for next year too. Not sure whether you want to talk about those.
No, I don't want to talk about that project yet.
But yeah, we'll be working with the Rabbit Hole on another project in the second half. We've got
poster design,
another creative industry student coming on board with us in the second half.
I love the experience of doing the creative industry student internship almost, or it's almost an internship.
Technically, it's an internship.
And they get to. I feel like we're on MasterChef though. Like we're the three judges. They present their posters. We're like, see, I like the format of this. It's got a good texture. I like the tone. It has a good aftertone to it. Something that stays with me. It's memorable. Like I remember this.
Except you need to change everything.
Except, yeah. Producers working with creatives, mate. I like the colour of the house. Like, I know I asked for a white house, but can you paint it pink?
Yeah, I like what you were trying to do, but you did none of it.
Yeah, I just need you to do it. I just need you to do this design with more feeling. No, I feel like on MasterChef you get to judge all these people. Feel bad about the ones you got to say no to, and then eventually there's an outright winner for the design.
There's always somebody wearing a cravat.
Is it?
No, it's just, I'm laughing at me and my scarf.
It's not a cravat, it's a scarf.
That's right.
Welcome to your podcast in-flight entertainment for the night. Your emergency exits are here and here. So we've got the 4th of December. Save the date for the festival. Submissions are now open. We have a magazine coming out, so you're going to have more information about that.
Yes.
And we've got things going along with Maine in the West. But now we've talked about Maine in the West. What about you, Misty? What is going on with you? What have you been up to lately?
What have I been doing? I've just finished a project working with the Writers Festival. I run the volunteer team there at the festival, and as always, it's a great experience working with everyone there. We managed to slide on in with a wonderful event for 60,000 people down at Carriage Works at the tail end of April. And it was wonderful. We had sunny days, no COVID cases, and it was,
That's what you
wonderful
want.
to be back in.
Good weather and no COVID.
Back in town for a live event. It was fantastic. I've got another couple of events coming up, which should be interesting. Can't say too much about them, but one of them I'm particularly excited about. It involves both DJs and potentially dinosaurs. So that makes me very happy.
I like dinosaurs. Big dinosaur fan.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm pretty fond of bin chickens, actually.
Yeah, but I've heard that you're fond of bin chickens. Yeah. The ultimate dinosaur.
The ultimate dinosaur. Yeah.
But other than that, I've been working on some research. I'm on the tail end of a PhD at the moment, writing up my research and results.
Well, tell us about that. It sounds really easy.
It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I research in the Writing and Society Research Centre. I'm a PhD candidate there, so I'm interested in the literary scene and how literary communities work, and particularly online. And so
literary scene, as in like just people that write books, that sort of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Writers, readers, authors, and festivals, and particularly writers' festivals. I find them to be a really fascinating space because reading is such a solitary experience. It's something that you do by yourself. But then these people are motivated to come together in this really public scene and share that experience with hundreds of or thousands of other people who are also solitary readers, and it's this real social occasion. But then at the same time, on the other side, you've also got authors who are also, they write books very much by themselves, and it is also a very solitary thing. And then you thrust them into the spotlight on a performance stage, and somehow those two things come together really nicely. And it's an interesting space to be working in, and I've ended up researching it too. So I'm interested in how festivals are translated online. I've been interested in digital festivals for quite a few years now. There's a great festival out of Melbourne called the Digital Writers Festival, and they've been running since 2014. It's part of the Emerging Writers Festival, and I was always fascinated by them right from when they first launched. I was always interested in how they were going to put together an online festival. What is an online festival?
What even is it?
What even is one of those things? Who's it for? What does it look like? And as a creative producer, as someone who works in cultural festivals, I'm interested in how do you build one of those? What does one look like? And it was great last year to be able to work on the online festival with you and Made in the West, and sort of think about those things in a real terms, and who is our audience? What do they want to see? How can we deliver some kind of experience online that is engaging and exciting and entertaining for people?
But is a virtual experience an experience? Does your brain know the difference between a virtual experience and an experience?
No, I wouldn't say that you necessarily... yes, it's absolutely an experience. It's still part of your reality. You're still experiencing it, whether it's done online or offline.
No, but yeah, you see what I mean by the word virtual? Like a virtual... Isn't a virtual experience still not an experience?
A virtual experience is still an experience, absolutely, yeah. And they're just on different ends of the continuum, right? You've got a virtual experience on one side, and you've got virtuality on one side and reality on the other side.
But isn't there a convergence at some point of reality and what was the other word you used? Virtuality and reality. Like if you're at a festival tweeting about the author that you just saw or are currently seeing, isn't that a digital experience mangled into an actual experience, and therefore is another form of experience?
Absolutely.
Which one's virtual? What's the other word? Reality?
Virtuality versus reality. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's one form of being able to interact with a festival online is absolutely by live tweeting and participating in a sort of a back channel conversation that's happening at the same time as IRL experiences or live in person experiences. IRL is computer talk for in real life.
In real life.
Yeah.
Wow, so how ironic.
You have URL and IRL. Is that what
and IRL, URL and the IRL is all acronyms for actual experiences, but as a reality experience, a virtual reality experience, actual.
I think
is it real?
Back in the day, like years ago, they used to talk about online experiences not being real. But I think those days are past now. I think everybody
that's what I'm saying.
Knows that they're still part of our daily experience.
You'd still have the same reward, because an experience, like of any experience, whether it's going for a walk or eating a sandwich, they're both experiences, and they both serve you in some way, or they may be detrimental in some sort of way. You lose energy, or the sandwich is full of carbohydrates.
True. If you build yourself an avatar and you are in, an online virtual world like Second Life, for example, and you are walking down the street eating a virtual sandwich. What's that experience like? Is that still an experience?
Yeah, and do you still have a biochemical reaction in your brain about having that experience? Like,
yeah.
Oh,
what was that?
My arm fell off.
Oh, sounded like a glass arm.
No. This is it here. Look here.
Oh wow.
My arm fell off.
It did fall off.
Yeah. I've clearly lost the receipt. Otherwise, I would have been jumping up and down about this by now. Clearly, Bunnings is not my sponsor. Not Bunnings, sorry. Officeworks.
Officeworks. Didn't never say anything bad about Officeworks.
Bunnings, like, Nemesis mini cousin. They're probably owned by the same people.
Bunnings and Officeworks are my two favourite shops.
I fucking love both of those shops.
Yeah.
Also love J-Car. Big J-Car fan.
I'm not a big J-Car fan.
Yeah, well, you got to get your J-Car on. J-Car's awesome. No, sorry, we got derailed there because my arm fucking fell off. What? Experiences.
IRL and
well, my arm falling off, I had that actual experience, but the folks at home, they had a virtual experience of my arm falling off.
That's right.
But nonetheless, both of those are experienced.
Well, I always think that's it.
And I'm just trying to say, I'm trying to ask the question is a virtual dopamine release different from a virtual one?
Well,
virtual and reality. You know what I mean.
You're touching on a discussion, an argument, a conversation that has been happening for decades. You would have heard of Walter Benjamin back in the day talking about the aura of art.
The aura of art. Here we go.
When you see the Mona Lisa in person, is that different to seeing a picture of the Mona Lisa
or a T-shirt of the Mona Lisa?
Or a representation on a screen of a picture of the Mona Lisa?
Yeah, someone taking a photograph of someone taking a photograph of someone photographing the Mona Lisa.
That's right. Like, how many steps removed can you be from the actual
copy of a copy of a copy
object, right? So the idea is that the original object has an aura about it, right? And that is true very much to much extent. But then in a virtual world, in a sense of computers, we're talking about the idea of presence, the feeling of being there and being present with something else. That can also have a sense of aura about it. These are two ideas that I really enjoy thinking about. And when it comes to creating a festival space online, there's different types of presence that I'm interested in. There's the idea that you can have the presence of being in a crowd with somebody, being in an audience with someone. Or you can have the sense of presence of sharing time with the actual artist. Like, they might be on stage, or they might be tweeting directly to you. They might be conversing with you in some way.
Conversing in the back channels rather than the front door sort of stuff.
Or in the front door. Maybe you get to ask a question at the Q&A, or,
on a microphone through a PA where the whole room hears it that they normally wouldn't hear. Like, I find this stuff fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's a fragmented idea. Because if you think about traditional media, like you've got a stage and there's an audience that sits in front of that stage and there's no back and forth. It's just one directional information.
Yeah.
And I think the TV really took that home. TV is on with TV audiences, but then the phone came out, and the phone in its current state, smartphone. Our interface and experience has totally changed. It was totally unpredictable, and we don't even know what it is. We don't know and understand what it is. But we have all these experiences through it, all these dopamine reactions, and these realities must be real in some way.
Well.
Why are we all addicted to our phones?
Well, Well, yes, they are real, absolutely. But I'm interested in, are they constructed? Are they constructed by somebody? Well, of course, they are constructed by somebody. And how are they constructed? How are they constructed differently based on whether or not you're going to watch that through a television, or watch something through your smartphone, or watch something, at the theatre live in person. Those different ways, those different mediums end up allowing creative producers to create the same thing in different ways for different audiences. And change,
perhaps even manipulate narratives.
Yeah. Well, and adjust the narrative based on what the audience member might want or perceive as important. It's fascinating to think about it. I mean, it's endless. That's the thing. Well, every trail that I follow when I think about my work and my research, and I think about what the different options are online and the different ways that we can be represented or represent our art online. It just ends up in a never-ending trail of various niche ideas. There's so many different ways to think about things.
Yeah, I just think because at the moment I think when I think about festivals and the intersection of these spheres, these digital spheres, these realities, these virtual realities, and the reality of the fact that those things are in a hybrid scenario as well. I think they're really positive spaces. Negative things happen in those spaces. Like Twitter can be a very negative space. But I think generally most people are hopping along and they're operating with intrigue and curiosity and the willingness to entertain people as well. Willing participants in entertainment. And I think the same with podcasting. Podcasting's a very similar space to that, where it's a very long form content. It's very interactive. You can leave your comments, you can like, you can dislike, you can listen on multiple mediums, you can watch it, you can listen to it. But when you look at other mediums like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter on their own, or television or radio, you can see that these narratives have been hijacked by certain people. Like when you look at TV, it was certainly hijacked. Like, this is the way a woman's supposed to look, or this is the way that a man is supposed to think. And we were broken down to that. You can't be a successful man unless you have a big house and a car. You can't be a successful woman unless you've got long legs and a big bust and blonde hair.
And the right laundry detergent.
And the right, you got to we got to sell you these products, and it was all a vehicle to sell products to you.
Yeah.
And that's what Facebook is. Facebook is there to sell you products. We don't pay for it. We're the product. Our data is the products. But I think when you go to festivals, it's more of an artistic look at things. We're looking at this book or this film or the idea of that, the idea of being an author or the idea of being a filmmaker. In podcasting, I've got a friend who recently just started up a podcast talking about men's health, talking about what it's like to be a dad. There's in a very long form content like that, and I think these things are great. They're fantastic. My fear is though how they're going to be hijacked. How is the podcast going to be hijacked? How are festivals going to be hijacked? And
they're already hijacked. There's product placement everywhere, and then gamification. I mean, we're even thinking about similar things ourselves. When you gamify spaces, you involve sponsors in ways of allowing the audience to interact with their brand in new ways. That bar is sponsored by such. That green room is sponsored by such. And
yeah, it's true. Yeah, you got your media walls. We do our media walls, and we do our
to brand names and the ways that we interact with brands generally.
Well, advertising is the way you sell the space, right? You got to sell advertising to have the space.
I think that's one way of doing it. You could also have
subscription.
Like
you have subscription models,
thing, I suppose.
I think Netflix is very good at it.
Entry.
Or pay per view and pay per experience.
The thing with a sponsor is, I suppose, like when I think about it now, you've got a guaranteed amount of money there. With ticket sales, you don't really know how many ticket sales you're going to be able to make, or at least with sponsorship,
it's more tangible though. Ticket sales and subscriptions very tangible. I find advertising is this loose thing that's an estimate of what things potentially are worth.
Isn't it?
It is. It really is. Like we were talking about this the other day with a close friend of ours. The value of a like. You can go and purchase a like, and we know people that purchase likes. There's people out there that go into bot farms and increase their numbers on their sites to do these things nefariously. You can purchase a like for between 1 to 2 cents to 50 cents, 20 cents. Depending on how bulk you buy likes or buy subscription, you can buy it for that.
Discount over time.
Yeah, but as soon as you buy a like, it no longer has value. As soon as you purchase a like for a cent, that like actually doesn't serve your content.
Because it's not actually attached to a human being and the person who interacts with your content.
Well, they didn't tick like with the intention, because it's all about intent. That's what I find lately. Like, the intention of festivals is like, man, you got to check out these books because you got to get kids involved in reading. You got to get the people, the young adults, and encourage them to read so they can be more politically informed, so they can be better voters, so they can be better consumers. It is built to the economic gain at the end of it all. Like, literacy is about economics when you really think about it. It's not just about critical thinking. It's about having people that have the ability to be employable. You need to be able to be literate in your vocation.
And also to be able to actualise their own dreams and goals in their
totally.
Life. There's self-actualisation goals in there too. It does liberate young people to be educated.
Absolutely it does that. But as well, I think we need to also add into the equation that it is a capitalist reason why we teach kids to read.
Marketing is a big drive behind festivals, and particularly it wasn't necessarily with Writers' Festivals in Australia. It's not necessarily where it started. Writers' Festivals in Australia started from kind of in a similar way to Made in the West, in wanting to connect the community together. It was originally actually a writers' festival, Adelaide Writers' Week, there were no readers allowed.
It was all about the writers.
Yeah,
it was about the artists.
1960
Yeah.
was when it started. It wasn't until the 70s, mid-70s.
Just pull that mic a little bit closer to you.
When readers were allowed to enter at all. And then it wasn't until, it was the late 60s when readers were allowed to enter, but it wasn't until the mid-70s when publishers got involved.
Yeah.
And they realised that, there's a crowd of people here who love books and love
Market.
writing.
There's a market.
Maybe I could launch a book here. And then that grew each year, and then now publishers are very much involved in the process of programming. They pitch their ideas to festival.
But again, though, the intent
is
is different. The intent. I think the intent of a festival isn't to set up advertising space to sell advertising. The intent is to set up a networking space that is they're paid for by advertising.
Well, or a celebratory space is the way that I think.
Yeah,
about
definitely.
This. It's not necessarily only a networking space. It's a celebratory space. It's that the idea of celebration is what sells the coming together that builds community and the selling of products.
Yeah, well, you need to sell
selling of products and the selling of services along the way. Because think about all those drinks that you're selling and the food that you're selling.
Of
along
course,
the way too,
of course, and
all
all
these
and all the jobs that are created out of that.
That's right.
Yeah, jobs are created out of it.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. But I think ultimately, actually, the idea of a festival actually comes down to, as I say, celebration. It's a celebration of an idea, and it's a coming together of a particular way of being in a particular time, in a particular space. Festivals are known as spaces where you can sort of exit the everyday, right? So and that's why there's often an archway or an entryway that you enter.
Yeah, you're entering into the environment.
And when you enter in there, the idea
or
is
some of our previous politicians would say, the environment.
Point Piper.
Point Piper.
So,
and your fire hydrant.
Yeah, and when you pass through the entrance and you enter the site of the festival, there's a sense of not always anything goes. It depends on the festival, but there's a sense of playfulness and there's a sense of curiosity within that space, and there's a sense that they're going to take you on a journey, and
an experience,
and it's an experience, and that's a fascinating thing for people to be paying money for.
Yeah, well, I think that's a big part of it though, is that experience, and you want to leave because that's experiences that are entertaining
and it's transformative. Ultimately, there's a lot of educational intent in there as well. There's a lot of people who are coming to learn from the ideas of writers and authors are some of the best thinkers in the world. They are the best thinkers.
That's
in the
the
world.
beauty of external memory, right? Like the whole reason that we hear from external memory, because that's what books are. They're just external memories to us, or hard drive. Yeah, it's another form of data. It's a medium that we can reflect on and go, I wonder if anyone's ever felt like this before. Yeah, there it is on the internet. If someone has written something that I feel about, I'm probably more attuned to, Nietzsche or, John Milton.
You like a bit of Paradise Lost.
Yeah, Paradise Lost sort of stuff. But Voltaire, am I getting that right? Voltaire, maybe.
Yes, I like Voltaire.
I just think you have things that you would be attributed to, and there's ideas out there that if you're feeling a certain way, generally, through human history, someone else has felt the same, and they've written it down, and it's probably in a book or a poem somewhere where they've totally nailed it. They've gotten it right, and I think that's what books offer. That's what movies offer. These narratives and stories are there because there's an aspect to them that we can relate to.
When you can empathise with characters and their emotions, and it allows you to journey through experiences without necessarily
experiencing them yourself. That's right.
There's a great old book, oldish book that I've just
Ye old?
recently.
Ye old or
no,
oldish?
No, not ye oldie. No, not at all. Like just last decade, but or the decade before.
So the 2000s. So it's still this century.
Yeah, but and
Can't be that old.
It talks about computers as theatre, and it's a really early way of looking at. It's very much talking about computer architecture and computer and software design, game design, that sort of thing. But one of the things that this researcher was arguing is that when you create theatre, you're trying to create an emotion or some kind of impact experience for the audience. You're not necessarily trying to show one particular scene or one particular way of being. The whole thing is an experience altogether. that the audience is able to participate in. And by thinking about experiences online in the same way, it allows us to think about our motivations for what we're really trying to have users get from our artwork and the experience of being online.
Yeah, but I know, but I bring you back to something you've told me often, and that's the death of the author. And the death of the author is Barth. Is that right? Have I got that
Roland
right?
Barth.
Roland Barth.
Yes.
I got that right. Wait, I didn't need to look it up. Roland Barth, the death of the author. Because you may have an intent, but again, it comes down to that intent. You've got to have a good... I think intentions are important, but again, intentions can be lost. They can totally be lost. If you make a story, it doesn't mean that that's going to be interpreted that way by the audience. But again, I come back to festivals in general. Like when you make a book, you want to entertain people. When you make a movie, you want to entertain people. And you've got to get this idea out. So there's a selfish motion to it and a selfless notion to it. I don't know. I think festivals are less self-serving. They're more about the audience and artist, and it's about that integration. It's about access. It comes down to access. At a writers' festival, we have access to authors that you dream about talking to or listening to in long-form content.
Well, now you're getting into fan culture and this side of things, and that's not necessarily the motivation for all people. Like that's one of the motivations, absolutely. Thinking about meeting an author, like encountering an artist in the flesh and being able to speak with them directly, tell them about your passions, or tell them why you first, read their book, picked up their
Your
book.
book changed my life.
All of that stuff is definitely part of it. I mean, it's something that you have to think about. Book signing queues at a writers' festival are a really big part of the experience for attendees, but not all attendees. In my experience, only 40% of attendees will go to a book signing queue. But for unless it's a YA event or a children's event, and then everybody's there. But it's a personal exchange with an artist that you don't necessarily not everybody wants. That fan culture is something that is not necessarily across the board. A lot of people go...
It's not as predictable as you'd think that it is.
A lot of people go there
saying.
just for recommendations, to learn about new...
Expanding
new
upon, to find new spaces and new
expand
authors.
Their own reading lists and, expand that pile of books that's sitting next to the dresser that they haven't yet read. Or just, meeting friends there, and it's a social occasion for many people, being able to, go and have a drink of wine and go and think about ideas and discuss with people.
Well, perhaps maybe a bit of social capital as well. I can go, I went to the Writers' Festival the other day.
Well, that's a bit of cultural capital.
Cultural capital, that's what I was going for.
Yeah, absolutely. They show off their culture and their lifestyle, and, if you've got the money...
Come along to me, let's get a photograph on the red carpet. Here's some cultural capital.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's part of what, awards processes and things like that are about. You get to give someone, the name of being the best editor or the best cinematographer.
Yeah, but I think that comes into the fanfare of it all. It's all the fanfare of it. It's the spectacle. It's all a spectacle, right? And people like to see a spectacle. And we like to celebrate. Another good word that was in there as well was celebrate. We like to celebrate. So I think sometimes we forget to celebrate as artists. We forget. We get too bogged down. And when I mean bogged down in your emotions. You get bogged down in your emotions as an artist. And we need spaces that you can run into other people that are just as fucking crazy as you.
Yeah.
Because you got to be a bit of a loose unit to be an artist.
And see the work that other people are doing. And this is something This is something that we've always thought about, working in the community with Western Sydney filmmakers, is when you put your work out there and you celebrate it, guess what? Somebody else is celebrating their work too, and you start to go, oh, look what they're doing. Look, imagine what I could do next.
It does egg you on. It does egg you on.
Start to feed off each other, Yeah,
you do start rooting for each other, and it does egg you on. Because you realise you're not alone. You realise that there's other ideas out there. There's other approaches. And look, that's why I like interviewing people. Like I realised even before the podcast, I've been interviewing people for 10 years, and I've only been doing the podcast for 3 years.
In what way?
When I worked at the TV station, I have to go and interview people for TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
When I was doing music shows, I had to interview people. Making documentaries, I interview people.
Yeah, right.
When I was doing car racing, I'd have to go interview car racing drivers. So I've interviewed politicians, car racing drivers, musicians, authors, actors. The list goes on, the amount of people I've interviewed. And I think I come up with a number. I tried to work it out. It's over 500
Oh, wow.
that people that I've interviewed. Like, it's a lot.
Great.
A lot of people I've interviewed. And I think that's what sort of pushed me towards the podcast. It's something that I've always done. I just didn't really recognise that I did it. Now, the podcast is me just realising that I do. That's one of the things I do. I've always done them. I just did it for money before. Now I do it for fun. But don't get me wrong. Like, if you're going to earn money in any way, interviewing people is a good way to do it. So, yeah, being a producer and being an interviewer, that's something I've always been drawn to because you get to glean information and figure out, maybe not just learning by other people's mistakes, but learning by their triumphs as well is valuable. I think maybe there's an aspect of that going to festivals too. You're trying to get information and how to better do things.
Talk about the craft. And this is the thing that Made in the West does really well. We combine showing and the spectacle and the celebration with the networking, which allows you to talk about how you did that. Right? And that's the same thing with Writers Festival as well. There's a lot of talk about craft. Talk about how you write those things. Where did you get the inspiration from it? What does it look like? What does your writing life look like?
Yeah.
You know? And I think it was Voltaire actually, which was the first who was the first artist to live on someone else's property because he was a famous artist, and this rich couple wanted to have artists living on their beautiful property, and he lived there free of rent. And
sounds very polyamorous.
Sounds fascinating, right? But there's this.
I'd like you to live with me and my wife. I need you to live in the cottage down the road, and we'll call upon you when required.
Yes, but you know.
Or maybe it's nice having an artist living down the road. I don't know.
People want that artistic lifestyle, right?
Yeah,
they want that lifestyle. But people want to be creative and want to have that artistic lifestyle.
They do. Yeah. Ultimately, being a poet in the 1800s, traveling through Paris, and I think it was maybe Picasso as well. Like Picasso used to pay for meals using his signature.
Wow.
No, don't worry about it. Just sign this and that. That's the bill.
They'll do
because the money that you give me is nothing compared to what you just signed for. So his signature was worth more than any meal.
Let's get to that.
Okay, wow. Yeah, okay, let's be Picasso.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, I just invent a genre. It can't be. How hard can it be? I'm sure we can come up with it. Just let me scratch my noodle for a little bit.
Add that to the list.
Well, yeah, write that down. Yeah, write that down. You're the producer.
Year, that's next year's.
I'm the ideas machine. You got to make them happen. All right, Misty. We need a new genre, and we need our signature worth about $5,000. Go.
Yes.
Well, look, we do have some projects coming in. We can't talk about all of them. I'd love to, but we shouldn't talk about all of them. But we do have Made in the West coming up. I do have Microcosm coming up. I've got some music stuff coming up, I may need you to come up to the Hunter Valley with me, actually. Now I speak of it.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah, I need you to be my manager. I need you to manage me. I need you to manage it.
You are unruly, and I'm not sure you can be managed.
I need a manager. If I'm going on tour and I'm going to a festival playing music, I need a manager. I can't do it alone. I don't know if I can pay her, but I fucking need a manager.
You just insult me all weekend, telling me, "Oh, my fucking manager keeps wanting me to do these things."
Yeah, that's it.
She's as bad as a producer.
Yeah. They're the same thing. Producer, manager, it's the same thing.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. But look, doing a PhD for what now? 6 years, close towards the end. How many words are in this PhD? Like, what is a PhD, and how does one get one? Well, what have you got to write? Like, what's the brass
tacks? I'm right in the thick of it, right? So I've done my first draft. My first draft was 88,000 words.
Gulp.
But I only have to get between 60 and 80. So I'm sitting on a good number to be able to edit that down and be more concise, because I tend to waffle in first drafts particularly. First drafts are terrible. Everybody's first drafts are terrible. But yeah, so COVID was great. I managed to go to get that done last year, and so now I'm in the second edit phase, right?
Second edit.
So I've done my first and second chapter. I'm on my third chapter. I've got my fourth and fifth still to go. So I'm right in the middle. This is like second edit blues, right?
Yeah.
And then after this, there is still after I finish this second edit is I get to compile all 5 of my chapters together for the first time into one big document, which I think is actually the most
Meaty.
exciting thing.
That does
of
sound
all of
exciting
it,
after 6 years, yeah.
because then I get to put it all together and hand it over to my supervisors as one thing.
Now you fucking deal with it.
Now you deal with it, because I'm sick of reading it. And then I've still got a third edit to go after that. So
A third edit to go.
I've
Okay,
still
but
got
that
a
third
third
one
edit to
doesn't
go.
sound as like difficult as the second edit.
No, the second edit is taking, a lot of disparate sort of ideas and putting them together to make sure. Like what I'm trying to do at the moment is make sure I've got an argument, make sure I've got a through line, make sure it all makes sense together. You know?
It's got to.
But
Question,
my,
answer,
my
question, answer.
supervisors are amazing and absolutely wonderful at their work, and I'm sure that they will pick everything that I have to say apart in a million different ways. So there will be a lot of revisions in that final edit.
Yeah, but that's okay.
And as I say, I'll end up somewhere between 60 and 80,000 in there.
Well, I tell you, when you graduate, I'm going to be crying like
You're gonna be crying.
like a child with a skid
I
knee.
reckon I'll be crying too. You'll make me cry.
I probably will. I
But,
probably will make you cry.
Yeah. I just have to remember to enjoy the process. That's all. We're so very close to the end.
It's
and
hard.
there's-
It's hard to do
it's a
that
journey.
sometimes when you're on that journey. When you're in it, it's kind of like when you're on a movie. When you're making a movie, right? It becomes so fucking stressful. Like when you're directing a movie and you've written it, and it's fucking
It's
stressful.
late nights, 4 a.m.
You haven't
and you're
slept in
tired and-
fucking months, and you're short fused, and you fucking hate everyone. And then once it's done, you go, oh, I'm gonna have to write another one now.
Yeah.
Do this all again. Because you want to do it again.
Yeah.
It's a buzz. It is a buzz. It's kind of like those things. Like once it's done, you go, I wish I savoured that more. But when you're savouring, you're like, get this fucking done. Get this off me. I need to get this done. This is insane. This is insane.
Yeah.
But you get there and you get it done. So
Yeah.
I wish you Godspeed, and I wish you all the best at doing your PhD,
Thank
because you've
you.
come so far doing it. I think COVID was a bit of a backhanded blessing for you,
Yeah.
because that really pushed people into digital spaces.
It pushed them into trying things, and it's given me a lot more to talk about. It's also meant that I have to reframe everything for an entirely new era. But that's okay. It's better than what it was before.
Certainly has brought relevance.
Yeah,
It's brought more relevance to.
Yeah, before it was it was very much a fringe thing, and now it's come into the mainstream. A bit,
Yeah,
which
even
is
though it was a
fantastic.
fringe thing before COVID, it was still a thing that needed magnification. It was still a thing that certainly needed some, peer-reviewed content on. So you were always certainly filling a void. It wasn't something that you were just doing off a whim, like, this will do. It wasn't like that. I think, but COVID certainly did amplify what you were doing. So I think that's a really good thing for you, and I'm really glad that you've come this far. And you've only got a little bit to go, so just keep going, Misty.
Thank you.
Going. You're
Thank
doing
you.
great. You really are.
I appreciate that.
You
I'll
really
take
are.
all the help I can get.
We all need to take all the help we can
Help,
get.
yeah.
We all have imposter monster syndrome, and really it's just that we're all lazy. Like we really are. Like people ask, Ross, how do you get so much shit done all the time? I go, I still got time. Like I could be going harder. For me to say, I'm really well. I've got good time management. It's a little bit true, but not really. It's not really true.
Plenty more hours in the day that you could fill.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I work hard at I work full time, work hard at my job. Sometimes I work hard on my band. Sometimes I work hard on making movies. Sometimes I work hard on these extracurricular activities that I do. But generally, I just want to smoke a spliff and watch some Netflix. But, I don't know. I just think that I think I can do better as an artist. I can do more. And when people say you do a lot, I'm like, I could do more.
I think that's
Totally
something
do
that you
more.
and I have always enjoyed about each other, that we both, right from when we first met each other, we both looked at each other and said, oh, shit, you're going to make me do stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to make me.
You're going to hold me to account. You're going to hold me to
better.
account. Yeah, you're gonna say what you said you were gonna do this.
And that's scary, but
You
it's
said
not,
you were gonna do this,
that's
and
not a
you
bad thing.
didn't do it.
it's not a bad thing for us to push each other to do more and do better.
Yeah, I don't think you pushed me. I don't think that's the right word. You encouraged me.
Yeah.
You encouraged me to do more, and I hope that I encourage you to do more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope I do.
You're my best cheerleader.
I'm a good
You're my number one
cheerleader.
cheer squad.
Hey, Misty can. If she can't do it, she better can.
That's right.
Just hit some pom poms. I think I had a good rhythm going there.
Oh, Misty.
So much mystery. Yeah, well, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to cover before we jump out of this?
No, only that
jump off this
that
train.
Made in the West is amazing, and everybody should join us on Saturday, December 4th. You can find us at www.mainthewest.com.au. You can find out everything about what we've been up to lately. All of the
blogs. We got blogs all over the place.
Submissions portal, all that. Sort
Read
of
a
thing.
blog on the bog.
And we look forward to seeing everybody's films this year at the festival.
No, we do. Look, I certainly look forward to seeing everyone's films every year. But look, we've got something really special for you guys this year, and that is Made in the West magazine. If you've been a part of Made in the West the last 10 years, you guys have got to come along to Made in the West. You've got to come along and purchase this magazine, see its augmented reality, see you featured in it. Like, if you are watching the show, there's a big chance that you have been a part of Made in the West in some way. So come along to the show, check out the magazine. You guys are going to absolutely fucking love it. We cannot believe that we've pulled this off. I just can't believe we've gotten this far doing all this work and making it happen. But no, the three big engines I see. I was just someone that was I was a spark, and I think the fire that I set off was the Misty, Jay, Emily rabbit hole fire. I'm just someone that set that off on fire. And I certainly got the ball rolling with it. But you guys are certainly someone that has been running with that ball. So I can't thank you guys enough. So Emily, big shout out. Jay, big shout out. Guys at the Rabbit Hole, big shout out. The work that you've done on this magazine is absolutely phenomenal. It's absolutely amazing. I can't believe an organisation our size have made something so prestigious, so lovely, so accessible, so representative of our region. Look, you guys are going to be impressed. Check out the magazine. We'll have it for sale online. We'll have it for sale at the festival.
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that was a good tie. That was a good tie off. I think we're done, Misty. I think we're at the end.
Well, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no, thank you for being on the show. And again, good luck with the rest of the PhD. I know you don't have too much longer to go. Get through this second edit, get to your third edit. And, we've got a lot of Made in the West to do this weekend, in fact. Probably going to go off this.
Next weekend, and for the rest of the year.
We've got fucking a lot of work to do. It's going to be a whole bunch of fun.
Great.
But guys, you've been watching The Pagey Train. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Apple iTunes. And you can find us on Amazon. And, of course, you can find us on iHeartRadio. And if you've been watching the podcast, don't forget to subscribe. You're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. Every subscription counts. And if you really haven't been having a great time with the Pagey Train, hit notifications. And that way you'll know every time we release an episode. We release an episode every Wednesday at 6:30. And you have been watching the Pagey Train. We'll see you next time. I almost got through that. That was a bit rickety at the end. I almost got through that.
You did well. Well done.
Yeah, that was a really good episode. Thank you, Misty. Thank you.